These are my two roommates, Whitney and Nicole. They'll be watching my speech today. Hi, my name is Sydney Rosenfeld, and today I will be informing you about Guatemala and why it's worth knowing about. Guatemala is a country in Central America with an interesting culture. And have you ever gotten to experience living conditions that are polar opposite of your own? Parts of Guatemala are considered a third world country where its standard of living is quite lower than ours here in Texas or in the U.S. Traveling to Guatemala is not only a culture shock, but it's a rewarding place to experience. Guatemala differs in geographical features, culture, and the poverty that people endure. One of Guatemala's very unique qualities is its beautiful geographic features. The Sierra Madre de Chiapas is a group of mountains that enclose a series of high valleys called the Guatemala Highlands. Within the Guatemalan Highlands, there is a lake called Lake Atitlan, and it's surrounded by towns and villages influenced by the Mayan people. The lake is shaped by three of many volcanoes that surround it, as well as the lake basin that is formed by a volcano itself. Lake Atitlan is the deepest lake in Central America with an average depth of 720 feet. According to the article, The Towns of Lake Atitlan, Guatemala, Lake Atitlan is re-owned as one of the most beautiful lakes in the world and is Guatemala's most important national and international tourist attractions. The lake also serves as an important food source for the many natives living in the surrounding area. The land supports crops such as coffee and avocado orchards, onions, corn, beans, squash, tomatoes, strawberries, and much more. Secondly, I would like to introduce to you the unique culture of Guatemala. As I mentioned before, the culture of Guatemala has very strong Spanish and Mayan characteristics. The people of Guatemala are well known for their use of bright colors. Their clothing is made of bright colored yarn, and their colors and patterns make it easy to distinguish a person's hometown right away. And this is a trait of the ancient Mayans. According to the article Guatemalan History, Language, and Culture, about 60% of the population is Catholic. There has been a spike in the practice of traditional Mayan religion because the people desire to preserve the cultural protections established under the peace treaties. The education system only receives about 2.6% of Lastly, I would like to enlighten you on the poverty status of Guatemala. The education system only receives 2.6% of public spending based off of Guatemala's GDP. Therefore, 9 out of 10 schools have no books, causing the literacy rates to be 25% in Guatemala. The poor education system is one of many that Guatemalans' daily income is one of the many reasons that Guatemalans' daily income average is $4, and with some of the families only bringing in $1 to $2 a day. The article Guatemala, An Assessment of Poverty states, the author states that about 75% of the population lives under the poverty line. I personally was able to witness this when I traveled to Guatemala to build a house for a family in need. Unfortunately, all of their neighbors were just as much in need as the family that I built the house for. A majority of the population lives in homes made of corn stalks or scavenged materials. The lack of proper materials to build their houses, such as having a dirt floor, makes the people much more susceptible to getting ill with various diseases. Their homes are filled with parasites causing conditions such as diarrhea, vomiting, and anemia. anemia, which can lead to malnutrition. In conclusion, Guatemala's geographic features, culture, and poverty levels differ majorly compared to us here in Texas. I personally was able to take part in a mission trip where I built houses for less fortunate families. It was a great feeling to learn and be able to help a country that is very different than my own. I believe it is very beneficial to be educated on Guatemala's lifestyles. It is a whole different world out there, and it's something that we should be more known. It's something that should be more known to us about. Thank you.